You know those people that are online flashing new cars, designer bags, luxury vacations? Well, you want the truth? Most of them are broke, and this is the reason why I call it the fake rich trap. Spending money to look rich while actually living or being broke. And here's the scary part. You might be falling into it today and you don't even know. So today what I want to do is I want to show you five big signs you're caught in this trap, and more importantly, how the hell do we escape it and get out of it? Because we do not want to be in the fake rich trap. So here we go. Number one is your car payment is bigger than your investments. So a car loses roughly 20 to 30% of its value the first year. An average car payment in the US right now is about $750 a month. And the average savings rate is less than $250 a month. So if you're one of these people whose car payment is dramatically higher than your investments, then this is one of the signs you're caught in the trap. And if you're not putting more into your future than your car payment, you're not rich. You're strapped. You have too much more car than you can afford. And you see this over and over and over and over. It's funny because financially, I could go out and pretty much buy a car cash right now. And this car that I sit in when I'm up here in Washington doing my thing up here is literally a 20-year-old, almost $229,000 Lexus that I drove, that my daughter drove, and then now I got it back as an extra car that we leave around. When I'm up here, I drive this car. No car payment, but I could afford to buy a new car and I don't, not because I don't want a new car, but just I don't need one. This just gets me to the gym and gets me, easy places to get to. So just know, car payments, bad if you're spending way more on that than you're investing, okay? Number two, you're financing your closet. What do I mean by that? The whole buy now, pay later, right? Afterpay, Klarna, Affirm. These things have all exploded. Back in the day, I used to call them layaway plans. And most people that are using it are under 35 years old. I didn't even know if there was. I can't tell how many times I buy something and they offer me, hey, you can make 4 payments of $19. I'm like, I'll just pay the $80 for it and be done with it. So if you're not careful, what happens is these apps will turn a $120 pair of shoes into just 4 easy payments of $30. And before you know it, you forgot about those 4 easy payments and you've built up a bunch of other payments. And now you're financing an outfit that'll be worn out in 6 months where the debt goes on, it lingers. The ones I've seen is usually breaking out into 4 payments. And to me, that's not financial fashion wear. That is stuff that you can't afford, because if you can't afford to pay for it and you can't afford to pay cash for it, then you shouldn't be buying it. You shouldn't be using it, and you shouldn't be able to afford it. I can't tell how many times I see people at the gym wearing designer gear, and I know they don't have a lot of money financially because they come ask me questions about it all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing right now? So it is what it is with many people. Number 3, you upgrade your phone every year. iPhone 17s just came out at the time of shooting this video, and the average iPhone's about $1,200. If you add in the taxes and the accessories and all the extra shit, you might be spending $1,500 or more every year. You don't need a new iPhone every year. My iPhone, I think, is at least 3 or 4 years old. I'll probably do a new one next year maybe, but for now, you don't need a new phone every year. And here's the kicker. The new phone doesn't make you any more money, doesn't make you richer, smarter, more productive. Honestly, the amounts of increased features are so minimal now. It just keeps you paying Apple every year. And I don't need to spend $1,500 on a phone every year, but every 4th, 5th year, my girlfriend's phone's about to die out. We'll get her a new phone, right? Number 4, you spend more money on dinners than you save. So if you spend $100 on dinner and it's gone in 90 minutes, you went to a fancy restaurant, great. But if you're not investing $100 at 10% annual returns for 30 years, that same $100 would be $17,000 30 years from now. So is that dinner worth $17,000? Maybe, maybe not. But you got to be doing both. If you're willing to go out to dinner and spend the money, you got to also be able to put money in your retirement and savings account, right? So one nice dinner a week could be costing you the equivalent of a $17,000 car or a $17,000 house payment or 1 year of retirement financial freedom on the back end or getting there sooner or younger. And it's not don't eat out. It's stop pretending that, I went to this restaurant or I went to this place or I did this thing. It's really just saying, hey, if I'm going to do this, I got to be able to afford to do both. And that goes back to that other video we just recently shot where we talk about if you get an increase in income, half can go to lifestyle, half go to saving and investing, right? And then number 5 is you don't have an escape fund. What is an escape fund? An emergency fund, a rainy day fund, call it whatever you want. But crazily enough, roughly 56% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency. So if your paycheck strapped now, this could last a while. And you need to have at least 3 months of emergency, I call it rainy day funds, saved up. And if you don't have it, then you're not rich. You are thin ice right now. And if some emergency happened, you're right back on the credit card. You're right back in problems again. Or maybe you all of a sudden have to just park the car because you can't afford to get the tire fixed. And now it turns into a bigger mess. So if you are in a situation in your life where you can't afford to miss a paycheck without panicking, you're not free. You're chained down. You are not free. You are chained down, and you have to be real careful about what's going on in your financial world. And you really got to be able to do these things. And the younger, the sooner, the smarter, the better. So why does this fake trap exist? Why do so many people fall into this trap? It's pretty simple right now. And with social media, it makes it even more and more challenging, because when I was a kid in my 20s, you only kind of knew what was going on around the people around you. And you typically lived in a neighborhood where everybody was living a similar lifestyle. You couldn't see what everybody else was doing. And now, because of social media and everyone comparing themselves to everybody else, you can see what everybody else is doing. But here's what's funny is, I know lots of people that have lots of fancy things that are not rich. And what's funny is, most of the people, if you ever read the book, The Millionaire Next Door, which is a 20-plus-year-old book, most really rich people, you wouldn't even know they're rich because they don't flaunt it. They don't show it. You wouldn't know. So everyone wants to look rich, look successful. So they go buy things. And the social media, basically, it's just everybody's highlight reel, right? Here's my nice car. Here's my nice clothes. Here's my nice gadgets. But the problem is, I don't want to flex in public. I want to flex in private. I want to be able to know that I can kind of do whatever it is that I want to do. And real, true wealth is invisible. Nobody knows. Nobody sees it. But the fake rich show off all the stuff they bought, all the trips they took. And the truly wealthy, I don't need to prove what my wealth is. I just know where I am financially and where I want to be long-term. And if you want to flex, by all means, be flexing and broke. But ideally, even people that are rich, when they buy a new car or buy a new house, we're doing it. Nobody knows. We don't put the pictures on social media. We don't tell anybody. So our money is typically working quietly in the background, doing the things that it needs to do to get me to the financial place I really want to be, right? The next thing I want to talk about is the real power move. How do we escape this? How do we get out of being in a poor, bad financial situation? So here's going to be a list. Get your pen and paper out right now. These are the things that you're going to want to know and you're going to want to do. And if you need help with them, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you do them. So the first one is pay yourself first. So whenever you make $1, you got to take that money off the top. Ideally 20%. For many people, it's going to be less than. But before you pay your rent, before you go out for brunch, before you pay your bills, take 10 or 20% of your income off the top, straight into your savings. And then it gets invested from there. But we got to get rid of debt. We got to build up our emergency fund. We got to start to build up our investment accounts. And whether they're retirement or non-retirement accounts, we can have that conversation too. Then you want to flip the ratio. What does that mean? Your investment should always be bigger than your car payment. We talked about that earlier. Your shopping bill or your dinners out, if you're not investing more than you're doing those things, then you're doing it wrong. Just my opinion, but you're doing it wrong. Because if you're not paying or planning to buy your freedom in the future and you're spending money on stuff like this now, terrible idea. And what is that escape fund? I call it a rainy day fund. You call it emergency fund, call it whatever you want. Aim for 3 to 6 months, but let's get to 1 month first if you haven't got there. And you want to have 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. So that is your freedom buffer, so that if you were out of work for some short amount of time, you would be in a decent spot. Number 4 is detach from image spending. What does that mean? Am I buying this because I want it, or I'm buying this because I want to be seen with it? If it's the second one, then skip it. So for example, I can afford to go out and buy a fancy car, and eventually here, probably in the next 12 months, I'm going to buy a car. I don't know if it'll be brand new or not. I don't know what kind of car it's going to be yet or not, but whatever it is, there won't be pictures of it all over the internet, and it'll be something that I want, that I can use, versus something that I feel like, hey, I can tell my friends and flex and show this fancy car all over the internet. So you know how that goes. And then of course, the 5th one is play the long game. You guys are going to be sick of me hearing that from me. That is my mantra. That is my, you got to play the long game. And the people who quietly save and invest starting in their 20s and 30s are the ones that actually retire rich versus fake rich. And then they're not making payments anymore. So let's use this example real quick. I always like to show you a little example of two things. Let's take 2 30-year-olds, okay? One has a new BMW with no savings at the bank at all. The other has a 10-year-old Honda with $100,000 savings and invested in the stock market. Guess who's going to win when they turn 40? Not the person who bought the BMW, but the person driving around the 10-year-old Honda, right? They're going to have a lot more money to be able to buy their freedom and get that financial freedom earlier. And whether they ever want to retire or not is up to them. I'm not about retiring. I'm about putting myself in a position of financial freedom. So just because somebody shows off that they have nice things does not mean that they're winning. It just means they've got good credit. They can afford the payments. And I'm not saying it's a terrible thing. If that's what they want to do, good for them. I just think it's not a way to take the stress and anxiety of today's financial world and having it be for young people about as unaffordable it is to live out there as possible. So you got to do what you got to do. And here's my call to action for you guys, right? Here's the truth. Real wealth doesn't look rich at first. It doesn't. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I did not look rich at all. And what's funny is I don't really look rich now, but it's quiet. It grows slowly and you will win. But the fake rich, instead of buying investments, they buy liabilities. And whether that's cars, boats, clothes, watches, campers, whatever it is, it does not buy them freedom. And that's what I want you to buy. So if you're ready to start on this whole journey, you want to stop pretending, but you want to start building and you want to start winning and you want to really, really start to sacrifice and do this, hit subscribe. Tell me in the comments, what is the biggest fake rich moves you've made? I remember for me, my car in Reno that I drive is a Mercedes. It's now a 13 or 14-year-old Mercedes. And what's funny is when I bought it, it was a 4-year-old Mercedes with some miles on it already. And I did the 6,000 pound rule thing, which I've talked about in other videos as well. And really, I bought that Mercedes for $24,000. And even still, at first when I drove it, it made me feel a little weird because I didn't want people to think, here's this guy driving around, Mr. Fancy Mercedes guy. And I still felt that way a little bit. So for me, a little bit of the non-flexing is just, I don't feel right doing it. And someday, hopefully I'll be better with it. And someday when I want to buy whatever fancy car I want to buy, I'll do it. But just know, being actually rich is a hell of a lot better way to sleep at night than being fake rich. So when you see your friends making these moves, whether it's cars, clothes, vacations, phones, just know it is a trap. And hopefully you will never fall for that trap again. So let's figure it out. Let's figure out a way to not let this increase in pay and income be a negative, but let's make it be a positive. And then by the time you do get in your 40s and 50s, then you'll be financially free a lot sooner than you think, and you can win at this game.